Hey, hey, hey. Welcome back, everybody, to Recruiters in a Microphone. This is an incredibly special episode because there's really no introduction needed. We've got a three-peater. We got Matt Chang back with us. How you doing, Matt?
Awesome. Excited for the three-peat today. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you. You're by far one of our favorite people that we've had on.
Yep.
Pete and I both, I'm going to just say it, we've got a man crush on you. So, we were, I think, having you back for the third time, Pete and I were more excited than you potentially wanting to even talk to us again. So we're like, oh, Matt's coming back.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm wearing a pink shirt for you today.
There you go. Excellent. No, so thank you for coming back with us. And even when I got the email yesterday that you wanted to talk to us again, I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, how soon do you want to do this? And they're like, as soon as possible. I was like, okay, turn it around. Let's do it. So here we are.
Bias for action. Thanks, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but we are here today because you made an incredible announcement for everyone actually even close to Duval County and actually really anywhere. Tell us a little bit about what you just announced.
Yeah, super. Well, yesterday we launched a new venture capital company based in Jacksonville, Florida. The name, very creatively named, the Chang Robotics Fund.
Whoa. Yeah, you went risky on that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, you don't let engineers name stuff unless you want them to put their name on it, right? So it's the Chang Robotics Fund. It's a venture capital company, and it's fully licensed and approved. So what we spent last year doing was going through the legal work and the SEC registration to become an approved venture capital company. So we have the same certifications and designations as all the Silicon Valley firms that you're probably aware of. And so what we did is we set the fund size at $50 million. Wow. And the purpose of the fund is to help, raise up startups that have really interesting and special technology. And we can unpack kind of what our investment targets are later.
Yep.
But the way we set it up was really kind of in being a founder friendly fund. Mm-hmm. What we learned through my experience being the founder of Jacksonville Venture Competition is a lot of venture capital is kind of rigged against founders. Yeah. And it doesn't take a calculator to do the math. In venture capital, about 7 out of 10 founders fail and go bankrupt. And you guys are both business founders. You know what type of work it takes in. You got to pour passion, energy.
Oh yeah.
Some of your sleep. You got to contribute all
some
of
your sleep, all of your sleep. Yeah.
Right. And then to enter a system, which we'll call it the venture capital system, one thing they don't tell the founders as they're coming in is, hey, there's a 7 in 10 chance that you're going to fail. And when you fail, we're going to help you do it fast. We want you to fail fast. Right. So there's years of kind of vision.
It's like a startup thing. It's like fail fast.
Right. And so the reason is they don't want to keep giving you money if they think you're going to fail. So they'll just help you go bankrupt really fast. But you guys know people put years and years and lots of passion and energy, relationships on the line. And to think that you have a, 7 in 10 chance of going bankrupt, they should probably have a disclaimer on the door when you come in. So that's one. And then the only stories you read are the huge success stories.
Right.
Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. Who are these titans of industry that did hit the moon through the venture capital system? That's kind of what keeps people attracted. But we want to focus on founders. That's kind of our thing is founders have the passion. They have the technology. They just may not have all the tools they need to professionalize their company and make a real global impact like they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I actually, I was just saying, I actually never knew that it was 7 out of 10. I thought it was actually even higher than that, to be quite honest.
Well, it kind of is because in venture capital, the lure is this exit, right? That you're going to get this big exit and this big payday. So yeah, the numbers, the venture capital works off 2 statistical models. It's called the Powers Law and the Monte Carlo model. And so the numbers are really the VCs, they take about 20 companies in, and they want one of the 20 companies to do that 100x moonshot. Think SpaceX and Tesla and these type of
the hockey stick, right? Yeah.
Right.
And so then there's there's that 1 in 20 that performs, to that expectation. And then you go down and there's a couple that kind of bop along. Maybe they do a 10 times or a 3 times, valuation increase. And then everybody else fails. And so you're right. For people that actually make it big, it's really, for a great fund, it's 1 in 10. For an average venture capital fund, it's 1 in 20. And so those are not great odds. And
no, that's horrible.
If you do a 3 times exit in your business, that's great, right? We put in $1 million, we got out $3 million. By real estate standards or anything else, that's a great investment.
Right.
In these companies, the dilution is so severe that a 3 times exit could result in very modest to no payday for the founder, right? Because all the investors had a lot of preferred rights on that money coming in, interest rates, equity, dilution. So it really ends up being that, I think you're right, Pete. Probably 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 actually make it to venture capital.
Right. So when you started to think about this idea, and obviously even going through your own personal experience, you obviously saw some of those pain points, right? Like you actually went through it. Was this just was there like an aha moment? It's like, man, these are all doing this all wrong, or was it just like a continuation?
Yeah, it was just a learning journey for me, So it kind of started with, for me, it started with, I experienced my first major business exit in 2021. That was private equity, which is very similar to venture capital. And I learned a lot through that process. And whenever an engineer tells you they learned, you imagine there was some pain that went with it. So there was some learnings. And that kind of made me aware to really just the size and potential of the equity markets in general. And because my engineering company, we're bootstrapped, right? We've taken no external investment, right? We've done it all from the ground up ourselves. And so we didn't have experience in this model until we saw private equity. The following year, I founded the Jacksonville Venture Competition, and we began recruiting venture capital, startup companies, and the investor class to come together in Jacksonville. And that's as I started to learn about it. And I didn't know some of the flaws with the broader industry at the time. Yep. I was just seeing, basically how it worked. And I was a student. And it was really the next year that I had a lot of founders coming to me asking me to do something, right? Let's work together. I need you to do something to help fix this. So the year that I got the bandwidth to do it and the focus was 2024. I started to really dive in, consume it. And then that's when I started building a team. The first thing I always do is team build, find the best talent, the best people. And so I just did dozens of interviews across the industry with friends, people that I got referred to, and really start to dissect what works, what doesn't work, what do people say, what are the models, what's the math, how's this work? And so it was about last summer in 24 that I actually recruited our current general partnership team at Chang Robotics Fund. And so there we brought together a cross-section of really smart people with great global experience. And all of them had some kind of issues with the industry as it currently was, right? They had some burnout from the system. Right. They had a personal and a principled difference. So we united under a common theme, and I'm big on culture. So the first thing we did was establish culture. So we are founder friendly. We are engineers, and we are going to help fix people's problems when they're one of our portfolio companies. So we're not going to watch you struggle. If you're struggling, especially if it's technical, project management, execution, we're going to jump in.
Anything, right?
I mean, we're going to do it. We're totally going to do it. So that's the real type of support that founders need is, my product isn't working. My prototype's having issues. We'll fix it, right? That's the most important thing they can hear when they're in crunch time. And then, not to leave it till last, but the other thing we said is we're going to be a faith-based venture capital company. And so I have not seen another one. Perhaps there is one. But
I haven't heard of one.
We put it in our legal documents and in our general partnership arrangement. We are a Christian venture capital company. We seek to do God's work here on earth. We're just his vessel. And to kind of make sure that we put our money where our mouth is, we are a tithing venture capital company. So the first 10% of all of our profits that we make with these portcos will go to the Lord's work.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely saved the best for last. Wow.
So in regards to the tithing piece, I'm sure you have certain philanthropic agencies in mind already where that would be going. Are there opportunities, just as you're getting pitched to by people looking to use your fund? Would there be an opportunity for these nonprofit philanthropic situations where they could also put in a pitch for? And I'm not asking for you and your partners to be put in a hard spot and like, we're not really into that kind of giving because, good luck out there, but that's not what we want to put our money to. I was just wondering if there was an opportunity because of the nature of the fund, if you're already allocating money, have you already identified where all the tithes going?
No,
or is it going to be continually working and you're spreading it out and there's other people bringing you great ideas for you being able to fund? I don't even know if it's around anymore, but one of the philanthropic givings that I was a part of was called Firewater back in the day. And it was about, building wells in Africa and,
Totally.
Stuff like that.
So Israel, we are going to be opportunistic and good investors with philanthropy, right?
Awesome.
And so there's no way that we can do that as a day job in the fund with portfolio companies and then turn that off when we look at ministry and charities and nonprofits. It's going to remain turned on. So I'm fortunate we're 8 years in business at Chang Robotics, 8 years profitable, 8 years tithing as a business, 8 years that all the partners in the business have agreed and collaborated on this. So we have a proven model, and we do have a deep bench of existing partners that we like to support with generosity or tithing. So the first part is easy. We're just going to do more of what we're already doing. Right?
Very cool.
That's pretty
very
easy.
Cool.
The other part is my family has been very blessed that we've been able to back several nonprofit founders in Jacksonville that went on to build very prolific nonprofits that you guys know about that are impacting our cities today with youth and hunger and homelessness and all kind of amazing causes. So I would venture to say that we're going to remain biased towards backing founders. When we look at nonprofits, you've probably heard me say this at JVC or in some sort of public speaking. Nonprofit founders are founders too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not just for-profit startup founders. In fact, I have this theory that for-profit startup founders would not exist if we didn't have nonprofit founders. And the reason is the communities we decide to live in are supported and made better by these nonprofits that do the tough and often unglorified work with youth, with food insecurity, with homelessness, with sexual trafficking, right? Pick whatever the good cause is that you see nonprofits doing.
Right.
That's what makes our communities a great place to live. And our biggest asset here in Jacksonville is the city of Jacksonville. Super nice city. We all, three of us here have families we're raising here. We love it.
Yep.
We're mystified why other people haven't figured it out and just rushed it, even though they are starting to now, right?
They are.
They're kind of blowing up. But yeah, the reason the city is so nice, in large part, is because of nonprofit founders that somewhere along the way had this idea and this passion. So we want to find those people early, just like we do with startups. We want to back them and support them early, just like we do with the for-profit companies. And we want to see them build something in our community that's going to be meaningful. So that would be one. You mentioned, systemic issues in Africa, Israel. We already support Okoa Refuge in Africa, which is now in 7 countries in East and Central Africa. They did a big partnership with the Tim Tebow Foundation a few years back that has taken them to the next level. So we're going to look to continue to partner with overseas ministries. A few years back, we had the opportunity to rebuild an orphanage after the earthquake in Haiti. And so that was an opportunity. When we met the orphanage and the leadership, the orphanage was standing. As the relationship developed, the orphanage fell over in an earthquake. And so we had the opportunity to be that first check, and in this case, the only check, to rebuild the orphanage. Because they had a moment of need. God was good to us. He blessed our finances. And we were able to meet that need in real time. So that's an example of opportunistic generosity, because we didn't know they were going to need a new orphanage until it fell over. And then we blindly wrote a check, and it, to the penny, matched the construction budget that they had to rebuild. And you guys know, I think in your faith journey, only God does that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah. So true.
And then to create that mathematical accuracy on numbers is crazy.
Yeah.
So with some of that stuff too, are you with the fund? Are you looking to invest, obviously, in companies here in Jacksonville? But is it everywhere? Is it
it's everywhere.
Broad?
It's everywhere, and we got a bias towards Jacksonville. So,
of course,
I'll say that we'll be concentrated towards Jacksonville. Relative to the national economy, obviously. And that goes in twofold. Number one is we are recruiting and have placed quite a number of advisors. Mm-hmm. So our advisors are receiving stock in the venture capital company. They're also getting compensated, for their time. And they're of exceptional expertise to help us strategically and help our portcos. So if you drew a map of where those folks are, it starts to get a center of mass towards Jacksonville.
Cool.
We do have a bias for that, but we're reaching very nationally. I mean, we have people all over the country that are helping us with this. And then when you look at the portcos, it would be the same thing. We already have signed a number of portcos that are, geographically very diverse, but there is a concentration in Jacksonville. So I think we want to have as you guys might know about me from previous interviews, I've lived all over the world, and that's been an exciting part of my career. We're going to have a global perspective. We live in a global world. We have a global supply chain. Yep. We all breathe the same air, no matter where you are in the world. Yep. But we're going to have a bias for Jacksonville. And quite frankly, it's just easier for us if something is in Jacksonville versus that would be a tiebreak for sure.
Right. Well, Pete and I can speak for Pete here. We love your bias for Jacksonville because Pete and I also have a strong bias for Jacksonville.
Yes, you do. Yes. You guys are really helping.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So anyone that's actually out there now, even listening to this cast, that's wanting to be a founder, are there certain industries that you're looking for, problems that you're looking to solve?
Yep.
Or, just tell me a little bit about the portfolio that you're trying to target.
The barrier to entry is you have to have disruptive technology. Right. So we're not doing frozen yogurt stands, and we're not doing restaurant startups. You have to have disruptive technology. So the thing that you're solving must change the world. Right. And I'm sure the founder has that vision already.
Of course.
They're just going through the early throes of how do you get there. Mm-hmm. And so if you have disruptive technology, then you're going to be a good match with us because we have world-class engineering talent. And obviously, it's taken me a career to build the team we have now. No founder is going to be able to replicate that unless their last name is Musk, right? It's just not going to happen. So the founders know this. They've come up against their technical challenges. They know they need a high horsepower technical and execution team. So we offer that match, and that's where it makes sense for both of us, right? The three categories of disruptive technology we're looking at are environmental. So do you have a disruptive technology that improves the environment? If so, we're very interested. It's going to make the world a better place for our kids and grandkids. But also it's very scalable. Environmental problems are everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right, both our country and globally. The second one would be energy. Energy is becoming increasingly a topic. The energy it takes to do AI, the energy it takes.
We saw that yesterday or a couple of days ago with the release of what Trump was saying, like the $500 billion fund to just focus
all this energy to do a supercomputer for AI, right? To try to solve cancer.
It's insane.
So energy is absolutely top of mind. And then increasingly, as we go, more automated, more robotic, we're more reliant on energy than we used to be because we can't live without it. And so we do have significant outages. The power has been out in Southern California a lot lately, right?
Yep.
We had a rough year in Florida last year. North Carolina had a rough year last year where the power went out for a long time in parts of the state.
Yep.
So we're looking for ways to solve that, right? What are some solutions in energy that can be deployed that help address these localized and systemic problems that keep happening and we get more sensitive over time? And then, so we covered environment, we covered energy.
Yep.
Third is workforce enhancement.
Okay.
So as you guys know, I design robotic systems for the workforce as a day job. So what are the technologies that can make the American worker more competitive? And yes, the American workers will work with AI. They will work with robots, cobots, driverless cars. All of that is going to happen. So how do we enable the American worker? And, we have deep insights here on the workforce. We've done projects in cities working with bus unions and city governments and airport governments. So we understand that workforce. We do distribution facilities, e-commerce, and manufacturing facilities. So we understand that blue collar worker that, builds things for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've also made a lot of strides in healthcare, working with healthcare professionals like nurses and doctors. And so we understand the support they need. And so that's what we're looking to do is how do we enable that American worker to be the most competitive worker globally? And then it makes them happier with their job, makes them want to stay at their company longer, to actually build a career. And it makes American manufacturing more competitive on a global basis.
Right. So workforce, environment, energy, those three, right?
Yep.
Main focuses for anyone that's listening. And obviously a disruption within technology, what they're building. With a bias, of course, Jacksonville, which is amazing, right?
Yeah. Yep. We always it's always great when I don't have to fly somewhere. Let's just build it here,
Right.
Why not, right? Yeah. So walk me through, again, as a founder or future founder listening to this right now, what would be the first steps? I've got an idea. Where do I go?
Yeah, we definitely need things that are past the idea stage.
Okay.
So what we've done
what
far,
stage? I was going to ask you that too.
What we've done is we've interviewed and done preliminary due diligence on 15 companies that already knew we were doing this and asked to be included in the initial cohort. We've signed letters of intent with 6 of those so far.
Okay.
So we've already got, our arrangement set with 6 of the 15.
Okay.
I'm not sure what percentage of the 15 will convert to actually being a portfolio company. We'll get at least a few more of that. All of the companies have a founding management team. All of the companies are professionally set up, with the right type of company registration so that they could be invested in. All of the companies have their prototype or pilot technology built.
Okay.
And all of them have their first commercial customer.
Gotcha.
So they've kind of gotten through that early hard part of what do I want to make? How do I make it? Who would buy this? Right. They've already gotten there. And where most of them are experiencing challenges is, okay, so when you get that first sale, you guys remember your first client. I won't ask you to name it, but everyone remembers their first client.
Oh, yeah. We always do.
Like the dog that caught the fire truck sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
We did it.
That's a good analogy. That's exactly right.
I had to go to the bank and cash a check. We never had to do that before. Right.
Right.
And then what comes next? Are you just looking for the second client? Are you looking for 1,000 clients? Do you need to go right back into the R&D stage and revamp your product?
Yeah. What's the post success, right?
Success.
What is it you do next?
It gets a lot harder after you get a little bit of success because now you don't know where to focus. And every avenue has different resource constraints, time, and that term pivot that we love in startups. Mm-hmm. Pivots come from having made not the right choice, right? Or having learned something on the fly that you didn't know before.
Right.
So that's where we can really help, especially because it becomes a product issue. When people are trying to develop this technology, it needs to be more reliable, more connected, more compact, lower cost. Those are the type of things we're very good at as engineers. So we can help founders get that first concept, first prototype technology, really refined, and then customize it for the use case. Right.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we find is a lot of technologies don't scale because it was built with the founders or the inventors' imagination of what it should be. And they didn't get that critical feedback from the users and the operators that are going to buy this.
Because they're afraid to ask the question in most cases, right? Like this is what they thought, so they want to just kind of keep it.
Right. Yeah. And I would say just to, in regards to everybody loving the word pivot, so many times when even myself or other people or other startups friends that I've known, their pivot wasn't educated and surgical. They knew that they were doing it wrong and they needed to pivot, but that pivot wasn't dialed in. So they pivoted into another disaster until they ended up pivoting into death.
Yeah,
right?
Or just the least disaster that were the options in front of them, right? So we have one of the things, as you guys get to know me better in business, and I always have a secret weapon for everything. And so, to your point, Israel, we have a secret weapon. When I was in business school, I was one of the first MBA classes in the country to take a dedicated course on the lean startup. The lean startup is big into this pivot.
It is.
Customer identification.
Yeah, it's everywhere now, right?
Doing things low cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my Chang Robotics was textbook lean startup. It's like we read the book and then started the company, right? The guy that taught me that class was the dean of the business school, Dr. Don Capener. Dr. Don Capener is our chief strategist in the venture capital fund, and we'll be working with the portcos on exactly that. It's like, let's be strategic and let's understand what we're doing. And if we do have to make a change, let's have kind of a pros cons of all the options so we can find the right way to pivot. And it's not a blind pivot, which I think is what you're talking about, where they know they have to change, so they just make a change. Let's do it for the right reasons and in the right direction.
Yep. So that's awesome. Are there personality traits, in your opinion, that stand out to founders that are going to apply for this fund? And then what are ones that are positive that you look for, and then ones that you actually try to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking for versus avoid would be humility versus arrogance. We're looking for humble founders. So far, everyone we've interviewed has definitely had that culture. I'd say that value of humility. And that's because, with arrogance comes very expensive mistakes and reluctance to do that pivot in Israel because they're so proud of the decision they made before, right? So we want people that are humble. Another would be candor. Inside of my organization, in my friend circle, and in all the, the nonprofit boards that I'm on, people know that's what you get, extreme candor. We can do things respectfully and tactfully, but we can also be radically honest and full of candor. So we're looking for humility and candor. I'd say the top two, and then the other one is you got to have a backbone, right? We've seen a lot of founders as we observe companies that we work with or that are near us that get driven off the cliff into that bankruptcy we started by talking about by a VC sitting on the board that just bullwhipped them off a cliff. When if they had gone a little slower or listened to their customers a little more, they would still be in business, still improving the company.
And probably successful. Yeah.
And making a positive impact. I mean, I think that's what we're all in business for, is to make an impact. The money is secondary to the impact. We get one life, we got to live it well. We get one race, we got to run it well. The money is less important. And there's a point, everyone needs to know that, where money is just not the driver because you have your basic needs met. And so, we need our founders to have a bit of a backbone. Because
they got to have a very, very strong backbone to be a founder. Yes, right.
That if you have that board member or if you have that external influence that's driving you to make a decision for purely financial reasons or maybe selfish reasons for the fund, you got to stand up sometimes and say, no, this is what I believe. These are my principles, and we're going to do it the following way. And a person that has that mix of kind of integrity is probably the right way to describe it. with humility and candor, those are the founders we want to work with. And we are backing founders. Let's be clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
The technology is secondary to the person, and that's what we're looking at as the person.
Right. Yeah. They always, the age old, right? I'm investing in a team as opposed to, really what you're doing, right? It's the team.
Yeah, we're going to help you make the technology better. Like that's less important than the people and the person behind it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is super awesome. This is very, very exciting for the city of Jacksonville, but also just really everywhere. So for those ones that you've got the 6 out of the 15, for anyone that's actually listening to this, really, where can they find you? How can they get involved? How can they start the application process? What's the step one?
Okay. Well, our website is very easy. cr.fund. So cr.fund.
Wow. Yeah. Again, you really stepped out there.
cr.fund.
I think we might have been like the first .fund registration on the earth. I was very impressed. We took it from Costa Rica, right? So it's Chang Robotics, but it's cr.fund. So that's where you can get in touch with us. As we made the announcement yesterday, we launched new socials. So you'll see us on LinkedIn. Go ahead and follow Chang Robotics Fund on LinkedIn. Obviously, people should either follow me or connect with me when they think they're ready to submit. We've already built our investment review committee. So just get us over the documents. Founders that are ready, they know they're ready.
Right.
And so go ahead and send it on over. We really want to focus on that kind of seed round. Yes, we'll go to pre-seed. And yes, we'll go to Series A, but we really want to focus on that seed round where you've kind of got your first of everything built already, right? And then you're trying to get to the next level. We're just a couple of highlights. Obviously, we had this thing licensed at the end of last year, and we just waited to announce it till this year based on timing. Between then and now, we got some calls. We've already made our first investments, so we're super excited about that. We got some other calls. We've taken our first investors that have put money into us. So we're going to be continuing to be active on both sides, identifying companies to allocate capital to, creating an investment plan with them, and then doing the valuations and the due diligence, the kind of technical work that goes along with it. And then we're also still recruiting investors, and so that'll be very interesting as we go forward because we're getting some really big names in the institutional class that smelled this out before we announced it and are already asking to come in. So we're excited about that. And I do, as we talk about Jacksonville, one of the opportunities for us is to get Jacksonville investors investing in initiatives in Jacksonville.
That's what I was actually going to say, because as a previous startup founder myself and raising capital, I never raised capital here in Jacksonville. It was always from the outside.
It traditionally was probably harder than other markets, is a soft way to say it, right?
Yep.
But it's not because we don't have wealth here, and we have.
Oh, we have a ton of it. We have a massive amount of wealth here.
Unicorn founders. We have all of that right here. So I do think this is also a good initiative to get our investor class focused on supporting initiatives here locally, because when we recycle capital, when we have financial success and then we're able to return profits to the investors, we want the companies to have a bias towards being here, and we want the investors to have a bias towards being here. And when you do that enough times, you make Austin, Texas, right? Yeah, and if you do it for 40 years, you make Silicon Valley, right? So that's our opportunity here.
Yep. I 100% agree. And that's why I said, even opening this, and this is why I was so excited about this conversation is, and we've had previous guests on our podcast with Pablo in Gainesville. He's the only one that runs the 161 is the only VC firm in Gainesville, and it's investing in University of Florida entrepreneurs, which is fantastic, right? So it's stories like that I think really resonate. But it is going to take it's a collective. It's a team that's actually going to bring this. And like you said too, it's to get to Silicon Valley, it's going to take years and years and years. But there's no reason that the talent is here, and it has been in Jacksonville for a long time.
That's right. And just to kind of close out on, as we talk about, we talked about the institutional class of investors that are going to be interested in these early stage, high tech companies.
Right.
The Jacksonville investors that we just want them to kind of get in the game, right, and start learning about this early stage company investing space.
That's kind of why we started even Two Recruiters. It's because there's people like you. There's people like Andrew, and it's this stuff that's going on in Jacksonville that no one pays attention to. They don't know about it.
We already have a lot of great founders here. Absolutely,
we do. We have a tremendous amount. And Andrew Rush with what he's doing, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
But a fun fact, and this is I'll kind of leak a secret weapon. We might have to talk about this later. Is our fund director is a gentleman named Forrest Hayes. He had a global career in banking, Ireland, Hong Kong, Singapore, all the big banking centers. His final fund product line that he sold before he left, institutional banking was the bank of banks. And that one took me a long time. I'm like, explain it again. Why do banks need banks?
Right. Yeah.
He would laugh and say, Matt, even banks need banks. So he grew so large in the fund management and international banking space that he would bank other banks for certain products and transfers and things that they were doing. So one of the real prizes too is you've seen all this news about foreign wealth, foreign direct investment, sovereign wealth. There's been countless articles this week about Saudi Arabia and Japan, and you're going to see many more come off the sidelines.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're just scratching the surface with this. Yeah.
We need to give them a place that when they're looking to invest those billions, it can land in Jacksonville. We don't need all of it, but we need a piece of it, right?
Yep.
And so, with the Chang Robotics Fund, it's Fund 1, right? It's Fund 1. And as you climb the ladder and you gain success and experience through Fund 1 and you go to 2, one of the visions that Forrest has laid out internal to the fund is it's not about Fund 1, guys, it's Fund 4. Because at Fund 4, before you even announce it, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Finland is asking you if they can carry the route, right? And so those are the types of moves.
Compound. Yeah.
Right. Those are the types of moves that we need to put in place in Jacksonville, also so that foreign wealth can find a U.S. investment strategy through Jacksonville, right? What better place for them? We're a port city, right? What better place to enter our country than through this city?
Yep. Yep. This is super exciting. This is amazing. Before we wrap, Israel, you have any more questions? Last minute question?
Yeah, I think, I know, Matt, you said that there's about a year to get this thing off the ground, right? From soup to nuts. But I guess when did the desire wrinkle your gray matter? When did you think that you're like, you know what, this is going to be my next, pun intended here, this is going to be my next venture, where you're,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just, usually I catch things pretty quick. If I hear something twice, I'll recognize it, or a third time, it's like ringing loud in my ear. It probably took me 5 or 6 founders asking me to do something like this before I said, light bulb on. They're asking me to solve it. And, what we came up with was the very compliant investment vehicle of a venture capital company with the SEC approval, right? That was kind of our solution. But what we had to figure out was how do we address these issues that we take with the venture capital industry at large? And of course, we're not bashing all VCs. There's good ones and not good ones. But what we see is that a lot of founders are getting kind of hung out to dry by the bad VCs. So what are we going to do differently? And I would say it was that kind of aligning our principles, Israel, with the legal framework of doing a VC. That is what took the longest, was to find a way to do it our way. It was founder friendly. And then to really pick those investment target areas that were just going to make the world a better place. So that's the question. How can you make money while making the world a better place? And that's what we're actively doing. And we're very clear about it now. The port codes, which we'll be announcing some of them soon, you guys will immediately get it. all this stuff is good for us as humanity and as a country.
Excellent. Yeah.
Is there also a obviously you mentioned your website, but for everybody out there that just wants to be up to date on the journey on how this is going, is there a certain feed that they can subscribe to? Is there a newsletter? Is there a handle? Is all that found on your website that they can just kind of be in the know?
Well, we're gonna, I would have been killed for not mentioning this. Thank you, Israel. We're actually having our first live fireside chat next Wednesday.
Yes,
so
saw that.
I'll give you guys a link that you can put in the posting here because
Cool.
It's a Zoom link, so it's a Zoom conference. So
Okay.
people can just tune into that and get kind of the origin story. I'll be there with one of my GPs, Robert Sterling, another brilliant guy, man after God's heart, young, fit dad, like he fits the mold. And so Robert and I are going to be having a real candid discussion on maybe a little more mechanical than this one on the fund economics and what exactly we're doing with portcos. So that's next Wednesday, and I'll send you guys the info so you can post about it.
Yeah, you definitely will.
In terms of our website, if you go there's an option to subscribe, and so you'll be able to get the emails. You'll be able to access all the socials, so you can just follow there, and we'll keep it up to date. In terms of social media, in terms of emails, we'll drip you on the emails so it's not overwhelming, and then we'll hit you on we'll be on LinkedIn or Twitter, every day or every other day.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is great. Well, so for all our listeners, seriously, if you're not excited about Jacksonville before this conversation, you definitely should be after this conversation with what's going on here. And actually, I'm super stoked for you, Matt. I always have been. This is the reason why you've been invited on this for 3 times. And maybe we'll leave it to like 6 times, 10 times.
Yeah.
You can actually just be one of our co-hosts. I mean, I'm open to it.
Well, you guys are going to get sick someday, so
yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you'll definitely be our replacement. But no, man, this is awesome. I can't wait to see this unfold. I'm super happy for you, super proud of you, and anything that we can do to support you along the way, we're here.
All right, Israel, Pete, thanks for the support, guys, and we're going to hopefully bring a win back to the home team here. So
let's do it.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, guys. See you guys soon.
Matt.
All right, see ya.
Bye.